Hello. It's PSYCHOCORE. Whispers of the Soul, a journey beyond calm. Let's say it plainly, but without raising our voices. Because what you're about to hear isn't a shout. It's a whisper that cuts deeper than any noise. Don't open your eyes yet. Don't look around for answers. Look within. Because there, in the darkest corner of your mind where no one enters, where even you fear to peek, that is where this video begins. That place where a single question resonates. A question you've been avoiding for far too long: who are you when the mask of calm is taken off, when the forced smile crumbles? When the tension bursts inside you and no one else notices, what is left of you? You've lived believing that control is strength. That serenity is something you learn from self-help books and pretty quotes on social media. But no, it's not like that. True control is not taught. It is awakened. It is revealed. And for many, it never arrives. Because keeping calm is not a technique. It's a test. It's the edge of the abyss. It's looking chaos in the eye and not blinking. The funny thing is, you don't know it. You don't know how many times you've been on the edge. You've walked the tightrope of your sanity without realizing it. Those are the arguments that don't end in shouting but do end in eternal distances. Those are the looks full of contained rage. Those silences where everything is being said, and nothing is said. Carl Jung didn't talk about calm as just a simple virtue. For him, it was a symptom, a reflection of a soul that has embraced its own shadow. Because while you flee from conflict, there is a part of you that feeds it, that desires it. And if I'm honest with you, that part is not asleep. It's awake. Very awake. But you pretend to be blind, deaf, neutral. You pretend nothing touches you, that you can rationalize everything, that you are an island in the middle of the storm. But Jung knew, no one is an island. We are all a battlefield. And you, right now, are losing the war without realizing it. Do you want to know why you explode when you're interrupted? Why you break into a cold sweat at a criticism, even though you smile? Why your thoughts turn into blades when someone makes you feel less? Because you don't know how to be at peace with yourself. Because you confuse calm with repression. Because you've spent years silencing your shadow instead of integrating it. And what you repress becomes stronger, more dangerous, more desperate to get out. This video isn't for you to learn to take a deep breath. It's not for you to repeat mantras or drink green tea while imagining the universe conspires in your favor. This video is a mirror. One of those that doesn't distort. One that shows the part of you that you can't post on Instagram. The part that trembles, that burns, that swallows words with the taste of blood. Do you want to maintain calm in any confrontation? Then prepare to die. Not physically, psychologically. Because you'll have to kill that version of yourself that gets dragged away by anger disguised as reason. That version that defends itself by attacking, that screams to avoid being devoured, that justifies itself because it doesn't know how to be silent. Jung said that until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will continue to direct your life, and you'll call it fate. And do you know what your fate is if you do nothing to react? Always like an animal, like a victim of your most primal impulses. True power is not in defeating the other. It's in not letting the other defeat you from within. This is not another video about self-esteem. This is not another piece of content to make you feel good for 5 minutes and then explode again with the ones you love the most. This is a descent. And not everyone returns, because not everyone is willing to face what's inside them. But you, if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you is already fed up. Fed up with pretending that nothing is happening. Fed up with justifying yourself. Fed up with losing control when you need it the most. Today, you're going into the labyrinth. Not because I say so, but because your soul is already inside, and it's asking you to find it. So don't distract yourself. Don't relax. Don't take a deep breath. Do the opposite. Feel the vertigo. Feel the discomfort, because that sensation is the door. And now you're going to open it. Are you ready to discover who you are when calm is the only thing standing between you and the abyss? Don't go just yet. Because if you think the danger is in the anger, you're missing the core of the problem. Anger is just the surface. The real fire starts long before you open your mouth. It starts when you betray yourself in silence. When you say it's okay, and it isn't. When you agree, give in, and swallow once, twice, 100 times until that false calm becomes a ticking time bomb that no one sees coming. And then they ask you, why did you explode? Why did you react that way? Why did you say that thing that was so out of place? But no one asks how long you've been pretending nothing was happening. Have you noticed? Most people who say they have a lot of self-control are just one gesture away from breaking, because their calm is a facade. And the most dangerous thing about a facade is that it deceives even the one who built it. Jung spoke of the self as a necessary mask. But he also warned, if you identify too much with that mask, you forget who you are behind it. And that's exactly what you do every time you choose calm as a disguise and not as a conquest. Do you notice it now? We're not talking about controlling emotions. We're talking about integrating them. Understanding that your anger, your fear, your impulse are not enemies. They are messengers. They are parts of you that haven't been heard. People who lose control in confrontations don't do it because they are weak. They do it because they carry an unresolved internal war. A war that is never seen from the outside and that often isn't even heard from within. Now let's move to a more uncomfortable truth. Most of your confrontations are not with others. They are with yourself. Every time you silence what you want to say, every time you accept something that hurts, every time you smile to avoid discomfort, you are entering into conflict with yourself. And that type of confrontation is the most destructive. Because it's invisible, because no one sees it, but you live it, you accumulate it. And one day, you don't even know why you're so irritable, why everything annoys you, why you explode over the smallest things. Do you want to maintain calm? Then start there. Don't run from the small internal wars. Face them, because what you don't face rots, and what rots ends up coming out in the worst way. Here's another point that no one mentions. There's a type of person who always drives you crazy. A specific profile that activates your worst demons. It's not a coincidence. That person represents something you haven't resolved. Maybe it's someone who imposes themselves, who makes you feel small, or someone who manipulates, who makes you doubt yourself. Pay close attention. Every confrontation that unbalances you is a mirror. And the more it bothers you, the more it's showing you something about yourself that you can't stand to see. Don't fight that discomfort. Use it. Trace where it comes from. Because the real enemy is never the other. The true enemy is the echo that person activates within you. And now tell me one thing. How many times have you won an argument and felt empty afterward? How many times have you had the last word and still lost your peace? That's what happens when you enter a confrontation without knowing yourself. It's not a battle of ideas. It's a fight between wounded egos, yours, the others. And in that war, even the one who wins loses. Because true calm is not imposed. It's not negotiated. It's not performed. It is reached. And it's only reached when you no longer need to prove anything. When you've made peace with the worst parts of yourself. Let's now talk about silence, but not superficial silence. Internal silence. The one that doesn't have to do with keeping quiet on the outside but with not reacting on the inside. Because calm doesn't start at the lips. It starts at the judgment. Do you know how hard it is to observe a provocation without immediately giving it meaning? How difficult it is to see the aggression of the other and not interpret it as a personal attack. That's where true strength is forged. When you learn to make space between what happens and what you decide to feel, that space, that second of distance, is where your freedom lives? And yes, it's hard, because you're trained to react, not to respond. You live in a culture that glorifies speed, sharpness, and the clever comeback. But the sharpest mind is not the one that responds first. It's the one that doesn't rush. It's the one that doesn't fall into the other's game. Carl Jung said, "He who looks outward dreams. He who looks inward awakens." And awakening hurts, because you see everything you preferred to ignore. You see your pride, your need to be right, your wound of not being heard. You see the root of your anxiety in every argument. But you also see something else, that you can choose. And that choice, that conscious decision not to feed the storm, is the closest thing to true power. Want proof that you're growing? Look at how you react when someone accuses you unfairly, when someone misinterprets you, when someone mocks you. Do you jump to defend yourself? Do you shout to make your truth understood? Or can you stand firm without needing to convince anyone? That's where your progress is measured, not in what you achieve but in what you no longer need to prove. And here we go to another dark place. Your need to maintain calm often isn't because of wisdom. It's because of fear. Fear of being rejected, of appearing weak, of not being enough. So you become an actor, a perfect simulator of serenity, but inside, you're screaming. What would happen if you stopped acting? If, for the first time, you stopped proving? If you simply allowed yourself to feel what you feel and observe it without judgment? Not control it, understand it, name it? Because the problem isn't feeling anger. The problem is not knowing what to do with it. This is the heart of it all. Emotional management is not about repressing or letting go without filter. It's about understanding. And to understand yourself, you have to stop lying to yourself. You have to stop saying you're fine when you're not. You have to stop using calm as an excuse to avoid the necessary conflict. Because not every confrontation is bad. Some are vital. Some save you. Some are the only way you can set boundaries. And boundaries are one of the purest forms of self-love. So the next time someone provokes you, don't think of keeping calm as if it were a performance. Think about whether your calm is a way of avoiding yourself or a way of asserting yourself. Because there is a calm that is submission, and another that is mastery. And only you can decide which one you are practicing. And we're still not done. There's one more thing. Something no one tells you. Maintaining calm in any confrontation isn't always about what you say. Sometimes it's about knowing when to leave, because there are battles that can't be won by fighting. They're won by leaving the field. Not because you're running away, but because you no longer need to fight. Because you've understood that not every conflict deserves your energy. Because there are confrontations that only exist to steal your presence. And when you learn to step away, you're not losing. You're choosing to preserve your essence. And do you know what's the most brutal thing about all this? People are going to confuse you with someone weak until they realize you're the only one who doesn't need to raise their voice to dominate the room. This is not about applause. This is not about superiority. This is about real self-control. And real self-control is not rigidity. It's conscious flexibility. It's moving like water, firm but fluid, present but without resistance. Because, as Bruce Lee said, be water, my friend. It wasn't a marketing phrase. It was a warning. Those who don't learn to flow break. And you didn't come to break. You came to wake up. And if you've made it this far, it's no accident. Something inside you has decided to stay. Not by inertia, not for entertainment, but because this message has pierced a layer that very few dare to touch. We're no longer talking about keeping calm. We're talking about transforming your existence. Because keeping calm is just the surface. What you're really learning is not to give up your soul every time something outside tries to shake you, not to sell your peace at the price of an impulsive reaction. You're training the invisible muscle of consciousness, the one that can't be seen but holds everything. And here comes the most powerful thing. When you change your way of responding to conflict, the conflict changes its way of coming to you. It's as if the universe notices, as if somehow the battles start avoiding you because you're no longer fuel for chaos. Because fire doesn't consume what no longer ignites. Confrontation will continue to exist, of course. But you won't be available to be dragged anymore. Not because you think you're better, but because you know yourself more. Because you've descended to the darkest parts of yourself. And you've returned with something that can't be bought, that can't be acted, that can't be faked, presence. And that, my friend, changes everything. Calm is not the end. It's the symptom that you are awake. That you no longer react from the wound but from choice. That you no longer act from fear but from direction. Do you know what that means? That you've just become someone dangerous. Dangerous to those who manipulate, to those who seek a fight, to those who feed off the noise of others. Because now you are silence that cuts, presence that weighs, peace that disturbs. Because when someone who has integrated their shadow sits in front of you and doesn't flinch, there's something inside you that trembles. And you don't know why, but you feel it, because that calm is not weakness. It's the echo of someone who has already died and returned. So here's the closing. If something like this can be closed, don't maintain calm for others. Don't do it to avoid discomfort. Don't do it to seem strong. Do it for you. Because you no longer need to explode to feel like you exist. Because you no longer need to win to feel less. Because you no longer need to be right to have peace. And if someone doesn't understand it, let them. Not everyone is ready for serenity that challenges. If this resonated with you, don't leave as if nothing happened. This channel is not for those who only want to hear nice things. This channel is for those who are ready to leave behind a weak, programmed, domesticated version and face transformation head-on. Subscribe if you're ready to keep unearthing truths that make you uncomfortable but set you free. And if you want to leave a mark, comment below this phrase: silence is my armor. Consciousness is my sword. That way, I'll know you made it to the end, that you're not just another one. And now I'll say goodbye, but not with a goodbye. That would be too predictable. I'll leave with a warning. From today, be careful with what you think right before reacting, because you won't be able to go back. You won't be able to ignore it anymore. You've just discovered that true confrontation doesn't happen outside but inside. And when that happens, there's no turning back. The calm you conquer is irreversible. See you where no one else wants to look. In the shadow, on the edge, in the deep. Until next time.